button. And again, welcome today to our webinar. We are talking about the 5 steps to heal inflammation. My name is Tiffany Hinton. I'm a certified functional medicine health coach in the North Chicago area in the suburbs. I am going to quickly, while we're recording, I'm going to bring Demi on from OsteoStrong so she can do our starting here. So give me 1 second.
Hi, Tiffany. How are you?
I am good. How are you this morning, Demi?
Good. So I know you just did a brief intro on yourself, correct?
I actually just welcomed everybody to the call. I hadn't really introed myself. So
Okay.
we want to talk a little bit about OsteoStrong and invite everybody to continue to stay with us this morning.
Sounds good. Well, I am Demi, part of OsteoStrong in Wilmette. We are a unique place where we focus on the overall health of your body through your skeletal system and really on a cellular level. So we have different machines and modalities throughout the center that can really help improve your bone density, improve your athletic capacity, and just improve your overall well-being. So I'm very happy today, since we've been inside, we've been doing virtual talks with other health-focused experts. And today I'm so glad we have Tiffany. I know we were supposed to do this in person, but I'm glad we are still able to do it virtually. So if you don't know Tiffany, she is a supermom, business owner, best-selling author, speaker, functional medicine, certified health coach, and gluten-free lifestyle expert. I'm very happy to hear more about that. She was inspired to begin blogging several years ago while going through treatments for infertility. Learning the impact of food, especially gluten, had on fertility and health inspired her to share her research and experiences with other moms just like her. Tiffany is the author of a #1 Amazon bestseller. She has also written 13 cookbooks and is celebrating the launch of her first lifestyle book and program entitled Thrive Clean. So go ahead, Tiffany, take it away. I'm excited for today.
Thank you. Thank you again for this honor. I am super excited again just to be able to share my passion for food as medicine and what it can do for our life and our lifestyles and bring us optimal health and energy. I will apologize now if there's any background noise. As most of us know, all of the kids are now home from school all day long. So with that being said, guys, we're going to jump over. I've got some slides I'm going to walk through, and then we'll do some Q&A at the end. So feel free to stick around to the end of the call, and we'll do some questions and answers. And again, I do want to say this is being recorded, so you feel free, once you have the recording, to share it with anybody else that you feel would benefit. Okay, so one of the things that I Thrive Clean is our new lifestyle book. It is a lifestyle program. We'll talk more about that as we go through today. And Demi did a wonderful job introducing me. I am an international best-selling author, an Amazon best-selling author, business owner, supermom. I have 3 kids. We had 3 kids in 3 years after I overcame infertility using food as medicine, gluten-free lifestyle expert, and a certified functional medicine health coach. I also have an ongoing column in Natural Awakening Chicago magazine. So if you are looking for gluten-free recipes, we have a column called From the Gluten-Free Kitchen that's published every single month with new inspired recipes. So my question today is, and I did ask a few of you that jumped on early to get a sheet of paper because we've got some of this stuff and you can take notes throughout as we go. But my question is, what do you really want your health for? Do you want your health because you want it to go and travel? Do you want your health so you can see your grandkids? Do you want your health just so you can feel better every day? Go ahead and on that piece of paper that you have, write down, what do you want your health for? What is it going to give you in life? And what we're going to talk about is you have to be able to improve your wellness to improve your health. A lot of people think health and wellness are exactly the same thing, but in reality, they're 2 different things. And so I'm going to walk you through a little bit of that. Wellness itself is the process of becoming aware and making choices toward a more successful existence. So whether it's doing strengthening exercises, or it's choosing to eat healthier, right, diet and exercise, or just choosing to be more positive and have a different mindset on life, those would be considered wellness. Health itself is not the mere absence of disease, but it's the continual striving to live a life that is full of meaning, zestful, and exuberant. And I actually love this definition because myself, I have autoimmune disease, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. But so it doesn't mean that I'm not healthy. So that's why I absolutely love this definition. Just because you're diagnosed with an illness, and maybe it's an incurable illness, it doesn't mean that you can't have your health. And that's one of the things that brought me into health coaching, is to help people realize that even if you are diagnosed with a chronic illness, there's actually 86% of the US has an incurable disease diagnosis, whether it's diabetes or it's an autoimmune condition, or even high blood pressure or hypertension. Those things are considered incurable, but that doesn't mean you can't be healthy. You just have to use wellness strategies. And we're going to talk about some of those wellness strategies to help overcome inflammation. So the question that I then have for you, number 2 on that sheet of paper, is what do you need to do to improve your wellness so that you can improve your health? I like to think about a yellow brick road. One of my favorite movies growing up was The Wizard of Oz. And many of you know that on one end of the movie, there is Dorothy, who lands in Oz, and the house comes down and it crashes on top of this witch, right? And she's got her striped socks, and that is the epitome of death. You're basically stuck under your house with your striped socks on. On the other end of that movie is this beautiful, luscious green castle. And to me, that symbolizes optimal health. It symbolizes the garden. It symbolizes all of this stuff that would be optimally healthy. And so you've got 2 ends of the spectrum, and this is your journey. You journey down this yellow brick road, either in the direction of striped socks or in the direction of optimal health and what is a luscious green castle. And my goal as a health coach, and just in the community in general, in several of the different events that we do, including our meetup, is to help people get closer and closer to optimal health and continue forward on their yellow brick road. So take a second and think about, where are you at? Where are you at on your journey to health? Are you right now just kind of taking off your striped socks, or did you wake up this morning and put them on and decide you weren't going to get out of bed? Maybe you've met the lion, maybe you've met, you know, those crazy scary monkeys, and we'll talk a little bit about those, because those monkeys honestly are happening all around us. Those flying monkeys are the challenges. They're the things that come up as obstacles. For some of us, it's homeschooling. I just had a whole drama moment after I saw an email from our school director, and before this, right? And that would be an obstacle. That's another flying monkey. Being able to not necessarily make it to the gym, or make it to your chiropractor, or make it out to your massage, or whatever you did before for health, might be another flying monkey that's coming into your life. And those are things that happen to us every day. But we actually have the choice to choose a little bit differently, and to choose to continue on our own journey. Those strategies that meet those challenges every day, whether you decide to open your windows and get fresh air in, whether you decide to take your vitamin D supplements, whether you decide to eat a salad instead of a bag of chips, those are wellness. Those are your strategies that help you develop your lifestyle. And a coach can actually help you develop even more of those if you're ever thinking to say, hey, I need more optimal health in my life. I need to just figure out how to live better. That's where a coach would come in. Similar to a life coach or any other, like a personal trainer if you were training for, sporting events or things. And to tell you the truth, I needed answers probably as desperately as many of you on this webinar today. I had been struggling for a really, really long time. I started struggling at the age of 14. And I'll talk and I'll walk through that. I also want you to know that I would never pretend to understand exactly what you're going through. And I never want to assume that I understand your own pain and frustration. We all have our own experiences. My experiences have been mainly with the gut, with my celiac disease, and with my infertility issues. My husband has his own frustrations with his type 2 diabetes and his blood pressure, and just, his own knee injuries from football. Like, everybody has our own health journey. and it's unique to you. So let me explain a little bit about myself. I am actually super blessed at this point in my life, and I'm super grateful for where I am. It wasn't always that way. As a kid, at the age of 11, I had a triggering event. My father was sent to the federal penitentiary for a crime that he had committed, and that triggered my autoimmune disease. All of that extra stress, the stress of my mom having to go and work third shift, of me at the age of 11 having to take care of younger siblings, and then not having that parental father figure there that I had grown to love, was just too much, and my autoimmune disease came on. My autoimmune disease then caused me to have my asthma, acid reflux, bloating. I had intestinal bleeding, and then I ended up having 14 years of unexplained infertility. What I was diagnosed with early was ulcerative colitis and IBS. And I bring this up, it's actually National IBS Awareness Month right now in April. April is IBS Awareness Month, which is the irritable bowel syndrome, irritable bowel disorder, IBD. They're pretty much the same thing. I bring it up because what's interesting is IBS is the syndrome. IBS is not the cause. And I learned that later on in life. And that is another thing that brought me back to functional medicine. Because until you actually get to the cause, you can't get the disease to go into remission. So I was put on several medications before I was 18 years old. I was taking about 25 different pharmaceuticals every single day. And at one point I was questioning God why I was here. Why was I on earth, and what was to be of my existence? Because this did not make any sense. My blessings actually, though, did come to me. I landed in Chicago for a job shortly after college, ended up at the University Hospital, which then at one point told me they couldn't treat me anymore because they didn't know how to treat my disease, which was fair, which brought me down the road to a holistic Eastern Western medicine doctor who had his own private practice and had been in the US military as a medic. And he was my saving grace. He was amazing. He's the one that treated not only my endometriosis, he treated my celiac disease. He was an endocrinologist at the time practicing that also worked in infertility. And through diet, primarily, we were able to have 3 kids in 3 years. So these are my daughters. What you need to know, though, is that the mother's IgG response, it can, the child in vitro can will have the same IgGs, because IgGs pass through the placenta. So my girls were born with severe allergies. We had anaphylactic children. We had kids that had gluten issues. The little girl in the purple dress was diagnosed failure to thrive at 15 months old, and then diagnosed with celiac and Crohn's on the exact same day in Highland Park at the hospital when she was 2. She is now a thriving second grader gymnast who is missing her practices. But what is amazing to me is through just cleaning up the gut, getting rid of the inflammation, my youngest, who's in the green dress, Josie, has outgrown her egg allergies, has outgrown her berry allergies, and has a clean health. Liliana, the one in the purple, has outgrown her peanut allergies, outgrown her nightshade allergies, and she will always have her celiac, but we do keep it in remission, and we have learned how to keep her Crohn's into remission so she doesn't need any pharmaceutical medication. And I say that to let you know that there's hope. Okay? The other thing I want to remind you is you don't have to take your health on all by yourself. There's a whole community. We have a Facebook community. There's several communities, even on Meetup, that are there to listen, that are there that maybe have the same diagnosis, that are there to help you with resources or learn from you and your experiences. So definitely work within a community. They're there to support you. And even in these times where we are stuck at home, there's a lot of virtual support right now. There's a lot of virtual stuff going on. There's morning coffee, there's afternoon stuff, there's evening things of women getting together and just like doing prayer circles or drumming circles, or just, there's all this going on. So reach out to your community. Don't stay in isolation. Your health will benefit from it. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. And I'm honestly curious, is any of this you? Okay. And so, do you have any digestive issues? Do you have bloating? And when I say bloating, like you wake up in the morning, your stomach's flat. By noon, your pants are a little tight. And by the end of the day, you're putting on a pair of stretchy pants and you've thrown the dress pants or jeans into the laundry, right? You've got gas. Maybe you blame that gas on the dog that's laying on the floor next to you, but in reality, you're the one with the gas. You've got acid reflux going on. Fatigue, you're reaching for a 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock nap in the afternoon, or by 7 o'clock in the evening, you need to climb into bed. Joint pain, whether it's in your fingers or in your elbows or your knees, you're dealing with diarrhea or constipation, or you've got leaky gut. Leaky gut happens when what I would call the cheesecloth, but the membrane in your intestinal lining gets little holes in it. So if you think of a cheesecloth, it gets bigger holes and bigger holes to where undigested food is now getting into your bloodstream. The undigested food is causing you to have clogged up arteries. It's causing you to have an autoimmune response potentially, or it's causing you to have food intolerances and allergic reactions because your gut has just opened up and the food that's not been processed and broken down into micronutrients is leaking into your system where it's not supposed to be. And your immune system identifies that as a toxin. It doesn't know what it is. So we're going to talk about some of the solutions, right? So let's get to some of those solutions to start to combat the inflammation. All of those things I just described in the previous slide were things that I've dealt with in my history of my health. All of those things, from the bloating to the acid reflux, where I was eating Tums like they were lifesavers, to the bleeding in the intestines because they had eroded enough that they were just raw and just awful looking, were all caused from inflammation because I wasn't taking care of what I was putting in my body and I wasn't taking care of my environment. So the three primary causes when it comes to inflammation, number one is food. The second one is your environment. And when I talk about your environment, that includes your water, it includes where you live, it includes the air quality, it includes just a whole bunch of stuff from your cleaning products to your carpeting to your paint. It's what is in your environment. And then your stress. And right now with COVID-19 and everything going on and us being told we have to stay at home, and in some countries being told you can't even go outside your house to even get out on your balcony or in your own yard, that is causing undue stress, right? The other thing that's causing a lot of stress is, for a lot of us, we are having to homeschool because it's required, even though we didn't necessarily go to school to be a teacher and we never saw that in our future. So stress is another cause of increased inflammation. So if you have an autoimmune disease and it's went into a state where you're having a flare up, maybe you're having extra chronic gut pain, or you're having extra diarrhea, or you're having headaches, or you're just having joint pain, any of that, your environment and your stress are probably huge contributors. And the things that you can actually start to tackle, and we'll talk about today, those 5 things that you can tackle include your food and your environment. You may not be able to decrease the stress right now, but you can definitely go after the first 2 to have a big impact on the way that you feel and get better. This is the functional medicine tree, and I'm going to talk through this quickly. I won't go into huge details, but I love how this is done, and I actually love the whole concept behind it. So if you think about your body as a living organism and you think about your body as a tree, at the top of your tree, you have all your different systems. You have your gastro system, which is your intestinal tract. You have your cardiology system. You have your neurology, like your neurons and your neurological system. You have your immunosystem. You've got your thoracic system. You've got all these different systems, your lymphatic systems, right? Those work together. So it's always interesting to me when you go to the doctor, if you need to see the cardiologist may not be talking to your rheumatologist or even to your gastro doctor, but in reality, all of those systems work together. And what is different about functional medicine is all of those different doctors come together to have one board meeting about that one patient. And they understand that all of those things actually work together and they're not individual components of the body. The trunk of your tree, it's your DNA, it's your genes, it's like your ancestry, right? And then your roots going down, like your big taproot is food, it's your nutrients. And then you've got your whatever trauma, it would be one of your roots, and your nutrient density and your H2O, your water, your exercise, your sleep, your community, all of that other stuff, your toxins, maybe the metal levels, or whether you use fluoride or fluoride-free toothpaste, those are all in the roots of the tree and get absorbed and contribute to how your systems of your body are functioning. And so you have the ability to make the changes in what your roots are absorbing in order for your systems to function optimally together collectively. And if you've got questions, guys, we're going to have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So let's talk about these 5 things that you can do to start to heal the inflammation. Inflammation, like I said, it can feel like gas in the stomach. It can look like bloating. For many women, it's like all of a sudden by 6 o'clock in the evening, we look pregnant. And in the morning, we look like we could wear a 2-piece bikini, right? All of that is inflammation. There's also inflammation when it comes to headaches are another sign. Diarrhea is another sign. Constipation. If you're not going and having a bowel movement twice a day, you are having a slow moving gut, which is a sign of inflammation. If you're on your phone a lot and you've got joint pain in the base of your thumb, again, another sign of inflammation. So how do we treat the inflammation? How do we get rid of that so we actually feel better and we want to do more and we have energy to do the things in life that we want to do? The first thing to do is to fix the gut. And what do I mean by that? I mean to remove anything that you are having a reaction to. Other things you can do to fix the gut include adding bone broth or mineral broth to your daily regimen, right? So getting some organic bone broth. Eating 6 to 9 cups of vegetables, whether they're cooked or raw, every single day will help fix your gut. You can get colostrum, whether it's in powder or pill format. Yes, it's just like from breast milk, but they sell that now and it's super great for elderly people. It helps fix the gut. It helps with bone health. It's super amazing. The collagen would be another thing that would help fix the gut. When you are doing your vegetables, I always tell everybody, start with the 6 to 9 cups of vegetables. And they're always like, what? That's crazy. I can't eat that much. If you start your morning with a smoothie, that normally has a good 4 cups in it. Then have a salad for lunch or a side of vegetables. You've got another, if you're having a salad, it's like another 2 cups, then you're at 6 cups already for the day and you can eat whatever you want for dinner. If you're having a side salad or some vegetables for lunch, you probably need another cup of vegetables in the evening, okay? And then you could also snack on celery, carrots, or apples, or any of that stuff throughout the day, which would increase your take of fruits and vegetables, okay? You want to think about fruits and vegetables before you think about grains and breads and rice and pasta, and you kind of want to shift that around. The other thing I can tell you about fixing your gut, once you've kind of done that, you can add a probiotic and you can add a digestive enzyme. They will help you process your food better. Okay, and if you want specifics, let's schedule a call. We can just do a 15-minute call and I can listen to kind of what's going on with your gut and give you some ideas and suggestions. The second step in healing the inflammation is to remove the sensitivities. Sensitivities are things that you eat and then within 3 days, you have an adverse reaction. For some of us, the adverse reaction is like rosacea or eczema, or maybe you've got those little bumps, whether you want to call them chicken skin or they're ketosis on the back of your arms. Those bumps are because you're sensitive to something that's either being applied to your body or that you are intaking. So a lot of us know that we have dairy sensitivities because we get gassy after we have milk or cheese. You could take that out of your diet. Common sensitivities are gluten, dairy, eggs, and corn. Those are 4 of the most common sensitivities. If you continue to have sensitivity issues, then I would suggest seeing a local allergist and requesting a patch test. And I'll tell you a story. So I had a client who was continuing to have cystic acne well into her 40s, and she couldn't figure out why she was having this acne. She remembered as a child that whenever she would eat peanuts, she would end up with these cysts and they would have to go and have them removed. But she knew that she was not allergic to nuts. She had had an allergy test. And I asked her if her allergist could do a patch test since they couldn't figure out why she kept having the acne. And it wasn't hormonal, like she had had all these different tests. And her allergist agreed to do the patch test. And I absolutely love the story. So the allergist takes the patches that they put on your skin. They look like bandages pretty much. And her allergist wrote what was in a Sharpie kind of on the top of each one, what the item was that they were patch testing. She had the patches on her arms and down her back. She was to wear them for 3 days and then go back to the allergist. Within about 7 hours, a few of them had started to turn red and they started to welt up underneath. And she knew visually by reading it what it was. Now, what was very interesting for her is the one that was the worst, that caused her to get a huge swelling thing, was cinnamon. And she had no idea that she was sensitive to cinnamon, and there is no real allergy test for that. So it was awesome that they were able to do the patch allergy testing to find out that that was the sensitivity. She's removed cinnamon from her toothpaste, from her kitchen, from like a bunch of stuff. and her acne is all went away. So your sensitivities will help remove inflammation, whether it's in your skin or in your gut. The third step is to optimize your nutrients. And nutrients are an interesting thing. So you can optimize nutrients through food, which is what I love to see people do. I love to see people up the vegetables to 9 cups a day and get their nutrients that way. The other way you can optimize your nutrients is with a good nutraceutical or a supplement that you can get from your local doctors. In order to know what to optimize, you need to have blood work done on your nutrients. You need to have a nutrient blood panel done so you know if you're deficient in vitamin D3, you know if you're deficient in B12 or iron. But without the blood work, it's hard to know which nutrients you need to be taking, and not everybody needs a multivitamin. So if once you get to step 3, I would suggest you get a blood panel done. And many of those blood panels you can order through your local doctor. You can get them through a holistic doctor. You can even do blood work now on demand through the internet with your own health insurance. And then go to Quest Labs and have it drawn. There's lots of stuff available for us. The fourth thing, if you're still having issues with inflammation, is to get a hormone panel ran. So if you are somebody that knows that you've got issues with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, or you've had other issues with hormones, whether it's your adrenals or your thyroid, you're going to want to look to, by step 4, you've fixed the gut, you've removed the sensitivities, you've worked on the nutrients, you're going to want to look to regulate your hormones. There's a reason we do these in order. If you were to start to regulate your hormones before you fix the gut or you remove the sensitivities, you may not feel a huge difference, and it may not help you, and your adrenals still might be stressed out because they're dealing with stress within the body, stress within the gut from just the gut leaking and all of this other stuff going on, to where it may not help you feel optimal. So you want to do these in this order. You're going to want to work with a local doctor to fix your hormones, okay, and to get those balanced. And again, that's normally through blood testing and some suggestions, whether it's on sleep or mental wellness or mindset, or even doing some additional hormones supplementation. The very last thing you would do in order to get rid of inflammation is to detox. I would personally never suggest that you detox first, because if you try to do a detox before you've done all the other stuff, your body is not going to have the buildup of antioxidants and all this other stuff to help your body do the detox with strength. And if you do a detox before you fixed a bunch of things, you could actually end up in the hospital. You could end up with heart palpitations or other things going on. So never just jump right into a detox until you've ensured that you're getting your optimal nutrients, you've ensured that you've removed any sensitivities, and you know that your gut has not got any issues and you're not having any dysbiosis or bloating or any of that stuff going on, and you know that you're pooping regularly. Then it's okay and it's safe to do a detox. I would also suggest doing a detox with a licensed practitioner and not trying to do it on your own. That way you can ensure that you're getting enough nutrients. And if you're doing like a fasting detox or a juicing detox, you have still somebody guiding you that has the knowledge to do it safely so it doesn't harm your body or your liver. Okay? And you'd only do the detox if you're still having pain. I do 1 to 2 detoxes a year, and I normally do them when I know I've been eating really, really good for a while. I've got my exercise up and going, and I do the detox because I just feel still like I've got edema in my ankles, which is where they swell up and you can see like your sock lines. So I know I'm still retaining water. Then I might do a 6 or 9 day detox. And I do detoxes personally with food. I don't do starvation or juices or powders or any of that. I go and I actually eat vegan for like 9 days straight. And that's kind of, and increase my water and do herbal teas. Okay. So I'm going to go, and I love this quote. It's all disease begins in the gut. This is a very popular quote. I'm curious to know if any of you know where this came from, this quote. And if you do, like, we'll talk about that. I am going to go back to the Q&A. I'm going to exit out of these slides. And I think, let me see if we've got any more slides in here. Oh, I do have 2 more, I guess. Okay, so if you would like help on finding your journey to wellness, finding your journey to the Green Castle, we have health coaching available, and I can get you more information on that. My normal health coaching, when we do a journey to wellness, is a 90-minute session. We talk about where you're currently at, where you want to go, and then kind of why are you stuck or what's getting in your way. and we help come up with solutions for you to try, along with giving you some meal plans, recipes, and some other discounts that you can get yourself up and running and on your way to the castle, right? On your way to optimal health. What you will find is if you were to take some of what I said, fix the gut, get rid of the inflammatory foods, and optimize your nutrients, you're going to find that you yourself have better energy. You're going to find you have better mobility. You've got less abdominal issues. Your blood sugar, your blood pressure are both going to improve. You potentially might lose some weight, not guaranteed, and you're going to have less headaches. You might even get rid of your headaches altogether, depending on what is contributing to your headaches. But these are the most significant things I hear from people that just start to clean up what they're eating and introduce more fruits and vegetables. So my question is, what do you want your health for? And if you go back to that very first question, think about what you wrote down and what are you willing to choose differently to go and make that happen for yourself. It's your choice. Nobody can make you do it, but we're all here to support you and cheer you on when you have made the decision to choose something different. All right, I'm going to go back. We are going to, there's a Q&A box where you guys can type in your questions. Actually, let's use the chat box, not the Q&A box. So if you want to, or you can raise your hand and I can unmute you. If you've got questions, then let's take 5 to 10 minutes here and I'll answer some questions. Demi, if you've got anything you want to continue to talk about or say, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you. This was all really good information.
Thank you.
So I know you said common inflammatory foods would be like eggs, corn, gluten, dairy. Is there anything else that could be inflammatory?
Each individual is different. They could have inflammatory things to other things like citric acid, or some people, personally myself, I have an inflammatory reaction to bananas. That is not common in most individuals. And so that takes allergy testing to find. But the common ones, one of the reasons that those are the most common is because those are the foods we eat the most. And so when our stomachs do become a little agitated, those are the ones that if you're starting to even open up the membrane just a little bit, because we eat corn, gluten, and dairy and eggs, like with everything, whether it's a baked good, it's a chip, it's the things that we eat the most in the US, those get into our system undigested sooner than a lot of other things. And so the body starts to recognize those as toxins because they're not supposed to be in the bloodstream, but yet they've seeped through the intestinal lining if your lining is raw. The other reason those 4 foods can be inflammatory is because they're also produced with a lot of chemicals. In farming, my dad's a farmer. In farming nowadays, they use a drying agent. So if you go back 75 years ago, they would cut the field or they'd let the corn dry in the field, right? And then they would harvest it and then they would store it. Nowadays, they don't want to wait to let it dry in the field. They want to get as much as possible. They don't want the animals to eat it and they don't want to worry about it going to waste. So they spray it with a drying agent. The drying agent dries it out, but there's no way to clean the drying agent off before it goes to be milled into flour or it goes to be milled into some sort of grain that's processed. So we are now absorbing that drying agent, and that drying agent can cause irritation. And even some of the farmers that spray the drying agent, if it gets on their skin, they end up with like a skin rash from it. So it can do the same thing, and it can rash the inside of your intestinal tract. So that's why some of the grains and the corns cause inflammation. It's not because the food itself is bad. It's because of the drying agent that is sprayed on it when we're trying to harvest it faster.
Interesting.
Yeah. Can I still have an occasional yogurt even though I am testing with a sensitivity? So if you have a sensitivity to the food, the interesting thing is if you do not eat the food for 21 days straight, your body will stop producing the antibody. That doesn't mean that it doesn't remember how to produce it if you were to reintroduce the food. but it stops producing the antibodies, so you stop having the inflammation. So this is in response to Alice's question. What then you want to do is, if you do want to have that food, I would personally, I do this myself, so this is my suggestion, is to then take digestive enzyme. You can get them at Whole Foods, you can get them at Full Scripts, you can get digestive enzymes from a lot of different places now. But I would take a digestive enzyme with all 8 of the enzymes, so that it's going to have the protease, the amylase, the lactase, like all the different enzymes in it. I would take one of those, and you might actually, depending on the strength of the enzyme, if you're going to eat yogurt, you might want to take 2 of them, because what's going to happen is the enzyme itself is going to start to eat the food, so your body doesn't have to do as much work to break it down, and then it can get excreted, hopefully before you have the sensitivity reaction to the dairy. Your other alternative is to, you know, choose a vegan yogurt or a nut yogurt or something else. Okay, Sue, you've got your hand up, so I'm gonna unmute you. Go ahead and ask your question, Sue. Sue, you probably have to unmute yourself on your side, but you should be able to talk.
Okay, got it.
There you go.
Thank you for all this great information.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I had 2 UTIs since the beginning of the year. And I was given an antibiotic. And what I realize is that I have gut problems as a result of the antibiotic. It finally took me time to realize it. And it's been gastritis is really uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable.
But could you talk a little bit about that and about processed foods too?
Yeah. So the antibiotics do exactly what they're supposed to do. They kill bacteria, all bacteria. And so your gut, your microbiome lives in your gut, right? And it's good bacteria and it's bad bacteria. And when I talk to kids about it, it's like these good guys and these bad guys. But that bacteria, because the antibiotic killed all of it, you have to reseed your gut. And if you don't reseed your gut, what potentially will happen is you'll end up with an overgrowth of like candida, which is a great bacteria because it eats sugar, but if you got too much of it, then we end up with like major yeast issues. So good, if you're doing an antibiotic can kill your bacteria and it can take you up to 24 months to get a whole microbiome rebuilt, but there are ways to do it a little bit faster. So you can start by doing a prebiotic. So you can go get a prebiotic powder, or white potatoes, anything that's in that inulin category is a prebiotic. So you can increase your root vegetables at the same time that you're taking a prebiotic supplement. The other thing is, once you have the prebiotic going, you're going to want to take a probiotic. Many of our probiotics have certain strains, and companies love to copyright, right? And put patents on their probiotics because they have certain strands. Now, I have learned, and I've done this even with my daughter who has gut issues, because we actually had to do a test at one point because she had too much streptococcus probiotic, which was great, but not enough of another one. So we had, you should rotate your probiotic brands every 3 months. You should probably have 3 of your favorite brands. And if you're interested, I can share my 3 favorites, but you should have 3 favorite brands, and every 3 months you should rotate through your probiotics. You can get them at Whole Foods again, or Fresh Time, or you could get them from Full Scripts or some other pharmacy. But your probiotic and your prebiotic are going to start to reseed your gut after an antibiotic. You could also start to eat kimchi, drink kombucha, fermented things like fermented beets, sauerkraut made the old-fashioned way, or even like fermented pickles, the ones that are in the brine from the European store that don't have the vinegar. All of that will contribute to regrowing the bacteria in your gut, Sue, after an antibiotic faster. Okay, processed food. Processed food is an interesting component. For many people, processed food is a necessity, because either they don't have the ability anymore to cook on their own, so they need to microwave, or they have a job where they just have to have something fast. The thing to keep in mind with processed food is you need to look at the carbs and the sugar in the processed food. I even teach people, don't worry about the calories. The calories don't matter. What matters when it comes to processed food is carbs and sugar. Because a lot of this stuff when you look at, like, I am celiac, so I have to be gluten-free. If I were to look at a box of macaroni and cheese that's from Kraft and a box of Annie's processed macaroni and cheese that's gluten-free, the gluten-free is higher in carbs and sugar. So it's actually worse for me, and I'm more likely to get type 2 diabetes because, even though it's supposed to be a health food, because of the carbs and the sugar. One of the things to do on the processed food is try to buy organic, non-GMO as much as possible, and then look at the fiber. So if you look at the carbs and you look at the fiber and you take carbs minus fiber, the number should be 14 or under. If it's more than 14, it's not really a great product. The other part to think about then on the sugar is it should be less than 5 grams of sugar per serving for it not to have a huge metabolic issue for your body. Other questions? This is a lot of information, I know. Again, you guys, if any of you are like, hey, I just want to have a private conversation, I'm able to do that. We can jump on a phone for 15 minutes. So just let me know. My email, I'll just give it to you so you guys have it. And I'm sure Demi can post it as well. It's tiffany@gfmomcertified.com. Okay, I don't really see any other questions, and we can cap this to just the 45 minutes. Thank you so much for attending. I really appreciate it. We will send out the replay, and if you want to share it with anybody or you think it'll be helpful for somebody else, please do.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you, Demi. I'm so honored and so grateful to be able to share and to be able to support the OsteoStrong community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.